All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Whoa, that was a quick zoom of Finance Junkies. Speaking of zooming,
Oh, you can do that with your webcam, huh?
this is this is my Sony A6. I know more about videography than you. I can do this. You
That's
can't do
amazing.
that. You can't do that.
Before we continue, I just want to apologize, everybody. We weren't trying to smash each other and be mean to each other. We still love each other. We're going to be hanging out in Vegas in a month. Is that what we're doing? So everything is cool. I'm sorry. We'll try to be better, or I'll try to be better. How about that?
I agree with
Amit is already good.
I agree with everything you said, but I disagree with this idea of we are not trying to smash. On the flight,
smash.
you said we're not trying to smash each other. We have a flight to Vegas where we're sitting pretty close to each other.
We are one seat apart right now, and I'm hoping it's either a really hot chick or a really big dude. One of them.
I'm 35A. Vitaly's 35C.
Somebody's got to be right between us that is either crowding us too much or is like super hot, and we're like, shit, how do we talk to this person?
I hope it's someone who either hates Enphase or loves Palantir, and it's gonna be the best 5 hours of my life. But no, in all reality, obviously, guys, look, we do a podcast every single day. Been doing it for 9 months. Sometimes things get a little heated. This shit happens. I mean, if you guys watch Olin podcast, they have a very successful podcast, and they all managed to stay together somehow over 2 years. And like shit happens sometimes, right? So we're all good.
It's an everyday thing, and this is why I'm hoping people see the reality that people aren't perfect. I'm not only talking about me, okay? Amit many times has gone off the freaking rail, and we try to rail him in as well. So we all go off the rails sometimes, and but there is no fighting behind the scenes. That's happening.
I mean, yesterday after the pod, we talked about it for 10 minutes, and then we were like, all right, let's plan for Vegas. So it's going to take a lot more to break a friendship, than a little silly 2-second argument on a podcast. So we're good. And we're here.
Yeah. It might be Vegas that breaks us.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening in Vegas.
Oh, kiss? How do I turn around and do this?
All right. So Carlos.
And by the way, I just want to point out, I'm a filmmaker, a writer. I'm like, my heart is on my sleeve almost daily. Okay. I try not to hide the way I'm feeling ever. And it's unusual on a podcast when 500 people are always listening to you. That's where the difference comes in. You always have to think in the back of your head that there's 500 people watching, and I always forget. So
did you just go for the I'm a talent argument?
I am a talented, I am an actor.
This man said, I'm talent. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to have my off days. You guys can deal with it.
No, but listen, my background is engineering. That's the science part of me, but I've been doing film for like 30 years or, whatever, 25 years or whatever it is. So we're very temperamental people sometimes.
Who will be your guy's Yoko? Yo, we haven't figured out who's the Yoko of the crew. That's going to fuck up everything.
That's Carlos, right? No. And exactly, being from New York does not help because you had to always be in a fight in some form or another, even if it was words. Most of the time it was words. All right, so today we're talking about, which is actually funny, is theft. And I didn't think it was this big of a deal, but now it seems to be in every earnings report.
I'll bring up the company you set it up. What's the discussion?
Well, besides the Dick's Sporting Goods, the fact that they're like 24% down, right? Is that what it is? After hours, they're claiming that it was mostly theft. That is ruining it. And other retailers, I actually looked it up. Yeah, like the Home Depot CEO talked about theft in an earnings call. The Target people are talking about it.
Walgreens.
Yeah, so theft apparently is bigger than I thought. And I do want to share this video. I don't think this is stuff like we're thinking of, like me and you run in and we steal some gum. It's not like that. This is like organized 20 people run into a store, or 2 or 3, whatever, but organized group of people run in, smash and grab, and run the hell out before anyone can do anything about it.
Is it the video you shared with me, or it's a different video?
I'm going to share another one, actually. Okay. This is let me just bring this
and I
up.
think so while you're getting this up, I think this will create a healthy discussion around what is going on in America, why this is, because a real stock lost a lot of money today in terms of its market cap because of theft.
Yeah, it was shrinkage. That's exactly what it, yes, we should talk about this shrinkage thing too. This is the first time I'm hearing the word over and over, because I probably heard it in a conference call, but I never thought about it. But why don't they just say theft instead of saying shrinkage? Like, that makes it sound terrible. Like they're in a pool, it's cold water. You come out with your skinny little bikini.
Well,
Anyway.
that's another thing. Carlos is having some issues with personal stuff. It's actually really funny what he's going through, but I'm not going to say it. But so he might be on a little bit, and he'll explain. There we go. We got the third amigo, Chris.
What's up, guys?
There you go.
All right, so we're talking about what's going on with dicks, and we're watching this quick video. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I'll play this video because it's sort of crazy. This was Dick's Sporting Goods blames increasingly serious theft problem for profit plunge, but this particular store is not Dick's. This is make sure you hear the sound too.
From Macy's.
Yeah, do you hear the sound?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Nordstrom. So anyway, I mean, that's kind of crazy that there's these, groups of it's got to be like a gang related thing. This is not just like three people got together, So I never thought it was a big issue, but then I looked at another stat. I do want to show one other stat here. Let me share this screen. And this was from 2021. It tracked it as early as I think 2014. Here, let me show this stat. Do you see the stat?
Yeah.
So this is only 2021. I'm not sure what it is in 2023 right now, but yeah, it's doubled basically just from 2015. I mean, like if you were investing in this growth stock, so you've got to basically double in 5 years or so. Well, 6 years. And I don't know what it is right now in 2022, 2023, but
this is 94 billion of theft in the United States.
Yeah, this is a crazy stat and only 5 years ago before this thing, 6 years, it was at 45 billion. So the fact that it doubled almost in 6 years, that's it's literally a growth story,
Okay, so I guess here's the discussion. Do we think this is happening because of the divide of wealth inequality in the United States to the point where people feel it's justified because they've been so screwed over by the system to just steal from these large corporations?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree. This is, you don't steal $94 billion worth of stuff by stealing a t-shirt here and there. Like this is an organized movement because it's easy, I think, to steal from these places. And I don't know if anyone's stolen from any like a Walmart. I'm not gonna, if you go into, I've never personally stolen, maybe, but if you've ever, it's not hard because there's not really security there. It's not like they have guns and they're not security.
There's nobody, bro. They don't care.
So yeah, there's just like some cashier. So I think they're organizing themselves in order to use that to their advantage to prey on the society that we have, that we sort of take for granted, that we will not rob each other all the time, right? I think that's what they're doing. It doesn't sound like that this is ultra poor versus the rich getting back at them. It doesn't sound like that.
Chris, how would you solve this situation?
Okay, so the first and foremost, you have to be tough on stuff like this. So a lot of times people think that, you should just let low-level crime let low-level crime go. Don't worry about
Carlos. We're talking about dicks,
because it doesn't
shrinkage.
Yeah. Because it doesn't affect a lot of people. So
you guys are breaking up.
So the whole justification behind a lot of this stuff was we have too many people in prison, so we should loosen some of the laws at the bottom level so that less people go to prison. Now, that's dumb because what you're doing is you're encouraging people to do a lot of low-level crimes. So if you look at a lot of how policing worked post George Floyd, a lot of people felt that, there was a particular race that has been criminal, like who has been prosecuted more than others. And so in order to be fair, let's kind of like take that away. So it's a lot of virtue signaling. And that virtue signaling has led to an epidemic of laws being changed by local elected leaders and politicians thinking, you know what? The quick fix is let's just decriminalize theft under this amount, and what it is from a sentencing guideline, they lowered it a lot. So now people are just, getting away with it. The other problem is a lot of these stores are to blame also, and let me show you a real quick clip on why.
Wait, you're blaming the people getting robbed?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me explain.
This is an interesting take.
No, let me explain. Let me explain why, and I'll show you
bitch.
why.
This is your fault. I'm hitting you.
No. Here, watch.
Probably the lack of security, to be honest.
No, it's not the lack of security.
Okay.
Use my job interview today.
Oh, you're using Atlanta as your thesis
Hey,
here?
It's a cultural
It's a
icon.
good brand.
Well, there goes the
don't know.
monetization on this one.
Yep, that's
Why
going.
do
Okay,
I
it's worth it.
seem preppy? I don't know, man. You just look like the type. Yeah, these is what I'm looking for. These white people gonna love me. I'm gonna get hot on the spot. Yes, yeah. So, what kind of
This
job
isn't
you
TV.
interviewing
This
for?
is HBO.
Some marketing job or some shit. They pay like 12 an hour. I'm trying to hit that lick, boy.
It's gonna get pulled down, buddy.
Yo, you went to Princeton, right?
No. It's
I don't
FX.
want-
It's
this get
fine. This
demonetized.
is
I talk to these white folk. I don't know. Probably don't call them white folks, and
it's like 2
confident.
minutes. Yeah.
all right, cool. Because you know I'm a talker. So, those gift cards they working here? I don't know. Who's gonna take this shit? Wait, what? Hell yeah. They got a no chase policy. What are you talking about?
Hello, sir. Can I be finding anything today?
They got a no chase policy. They can't stop me. Most of these stores got it. It's a liability thing. And even if they see me stealing, they can't chase me.
Sir, those shoes, can I get you a different size or?
See? He got to keep giving me great customer service. That's all he can do.
Excuse me, sir. Hey,
Wow, I never seen this before.
It's a good show.
So
You're saying this is happening across America?
yeah, because if you look at a lot of these businesses, they don't go after, like, okay, if you steal from Walmart and someone stops you, like the employee stops you, you know what they do? They fire the employee. So tell me why I shouldn't fucking blame Walmart. You know, they're not even letting their own employees. Yeah.
No, but the reason why they fire the employees is that there was a couple of precedent cases in San Francisco where the lawyers actually and sometimes what happens is in the chasing of somebody down after they recoup the items, they beat the shit out of the guy within an inch of his life. Or that one guy that jumped. Did you see the guy that fell
Then
off of the second floor of the mall and broke both of his legs? Then that guy finds a lawyer who sues the company and says we were assaulted, even though we weren't committing a crime. It's like the stand your ground rule, right? If you shoot someone in the back, you've now committed murder. So what they say is just leave them alone, just let them go. But to your point, that has opened up a lot of people that now just go in there and sort of test the limits on that.
Because this is their logic. Product is cheap. It's not worth the risk. That's what the store's thinking, right?
Now here's the thing. Now,
No,
yes,
they even have
it's cheap
insurance.
it's cheap at the individual level, but if you
Right.
do it enough, it becomes something that takes down your profit. And also at the same time, you're in, like, yes, this stuff is insured. So businesses initially thought, you know what, it's insured, no big deal. But now the insurance companies are like, listen, we're not going to keep taking on this liability. So we're going to raise up the insurance rates. We're going to jack those up to another degree. So what you're seeing right now is a lot of retail stores saying, okay, how do we prevent this? And it's turning into this fucking draconian way of doing shopping where basically you have to, like, if you go to New York City Walgreens and you just need razors, bro, you got to go find the guy. They got to come to you. They got to open the thing, you know, and literally just everything that you need, they have to open it up because everything is closed down. Now, where is the problem here? So a lot of this, once again, comes down to two things. One, the laws, of course, being more on the criminal side of things. And two, you've got store policies that don't even enforce some of the stuff. Like even these security guards that they hire, they're not allowed to actually do anything. They're literally there just as like a deterrent, like a scarecrow, you know? And so now the crows are
some of them are also in on it.
Yeah. And
well, let's not get a conspiracy. What I'm pointing out is that, okay, first of all, yes, there's the mom and pop sort of, guy walking in, taking some shoes. I don't think that is what the big problem is. The big problem is there's an organized element here for these bigger robberies that steal $300,000 in one go ahead. This is where the 94 billion is coming from.
Look, I sent
not
you guys
from stealing $100.
I sent you guys a video of a mall that's, I'm not even kidding, 15 minutes from my house, and I don't live in a crazy area of California. Okay, 15 minutes from my house. It's the same mall that I test drove a Tesla for the first time. I go there with my kid. We have California Pizza Kitchen. It's like I wouldn't believe that this happened, but it was an organized group of 30 teenagers who were all dressed in black with masks and hoods, 30 like kids who go into the store at the same time and basically overrun the security. This is like in broad daylight while people are shopping, and they rip everything down. They did it at it was a Nordstrom's or I forgot the store, and they get as much as they can. And then it's organized to the point where like some people will hold doors to facilitate it.
Carlos, I want to ask you a little bit deeper question. Why are kids doing this? That is the question.
I think
It's
there's
not just kids. It's not just kids.
it's not just it's not just kids. I mean, it depends on how big you want this answer to be, but I think overall, like there's a breakdown of the social contract, right? Like there's a social contract that we all have that we make with each other, and it's unspoken. It's in a way of like, I'm not like my right to swing my arm ends at an inch in front of your face, right? And that's sort of the underpinning of society. In a society that can self-govern itself, you really don't need police. You only need police for the outliers, for the bad apples. But what's happening now is, like Chris is saying, there's just the right incentives in the wrong places. And oh yeah, even that, to get a TikTok video, there's the guy in in Europe,
UK, running into people's houses,
who's running into people's houses. And so what you're seeing is it's a number of factors that are coming together that is breaking this basic social contract that we have about, I'm not going to put you in a position where you're going to feel unsafe, and in return I expect to be able to walk here with the things that are most important to me, my wife, my kid, and you're not going to make me feel unsafe. But that's breaking down.
So, well, look, okay. I mean, I think once again, they're taking advantage of an opportunity because these stores have completely gone lax on security. That's really the main issue. That, I still remember like the fake mall cop. I still remember that. But most of these stores, like Home Depot's big. Like, why don't they have a legit security personnel at Home Depot? And
I don't think they want the PR of trying to chase someone for a $5.
$5? No,
dude. Home Depot is
not $5.
Well, I said
he's got the plywood. He's running out with a sheet of plywood.
I don't know if I sent you the video.
You know how expensive plywood is during COVID? $80 a sheet.
I don't know if you guys got the video of the guy who went to Home Depot for like 10 days straight, every single day at the same time, and cleaned out the entire tool aisle.
Oh my God.
He would go there
crazy.
every day. And the guy that was filming, he's like, this guy comes here every day. The guy didn't give a shit. He was showing his face, came with two people. They loaded up a bunch of carts. And I mean, they were taking basically every Sawzall, every, all of the power tools. The entire DeWalt section was cleaned out. And it's true. The laws have changed. It's become relaxed, especially after the riots. You remember how they were in Portland, how they stopped policing for a while? A lot of this is backlash over the defund the police.
Yep.
Now, if we want to go even further, because I think I've sent you guys some of this documentation, that it's funny that all of the places that are having these major problems are the same areas where they're talking about building these 15-minute cities, these cities where basically everything's on lockdown. You see you can see examples of these in China. So It makes a lot of sense. If you want to develop a certain area, you have to get rid of everybody. Well, how do you get rid of everybody? You can either force them out, but you can't really do that. So you make it so unlivable that people sell their homes, businesses leave, buy everything up on the cheap, and then you can redevelop the area. So there's a guy who overlaid, I was looking for that while we were talking. There's a guy who overlaid all of the major riots that happened in New York City or in the country with the plans where they have the 15-minute cities. And literally the way that they had redone the zoning, it's almost exact. Like all of these areas and the buildings that have been destroyed were areas that they would have wanted to redevelop anyway. So you can think that it's conspiratory, but I think there's something to that.
So why was Detroit destroyed and nobody bought anything for like 20 years?
But no, I'm just saying this is recent. This
is this the answer? Chris, I know you're in Georgia. Is this the answer? Is this only happening in California and New York, not in Texas?
Well, did you see? Were there any real riots in Texas?
No.
In the liberal parts of Texas, like Austin and stuff, I think there might have been. But there's a saying down south, and I lived in Texas for a year. They say an armed society is a polite society. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, it's true. Because at the end of the day, even Jason Calcanis, who's like the uberest liberal in San Francisco, did you see a recent tweet that he put out there about how people should be allowed to have concealed carry? So it's really sad what some of the cities have devolved themselves into because of lax policies around theft. And this is just the consequences of bad policies. But you know what? This is an investor channel. So let's talk about, from an investing standpoint, how we can profit off of this.
Are we buying
Outside
spreads
of
on?
going-
We're buying spreads on dicks. Sweet.
We're buying
No,
spreads
no,
on dick.
No, no,
Spread
not at
that
all. Not
dick.
at all.
Spread that
No, not at all. I think.
Yo, I hope no one watches this with their kids, bro. Because like,
No, this already it's gone. This is not getting
gone, it's
monetized.
gone.
So let's just go all the fucking way.
we'll get to the super chats in a sec. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So from an opportunity standpoint, I think this is great, because what it does is, whenever you have a bad policy, the only thing you really need for the policy to change is better legislation that helps control it, right? Like, so right now, the way that a lot of like investing works is that everything is reactionary rather than forward thinking, right? So right now we're seeing all these precipitous drops in retailers like losing money and all this other stuff, which is fine because of these lax policies from the stores, from that. We can blame whoever, but at the end of the day, things need to change. And if they don't change, these companies are going to go bankrupt. And if they go bankrupt, that means less tax revenue from the local governments and for the city and state. So even the city and state has a vested interest in making sure that this shit stops, right? New York City is a classic example of letting crime do its thing until to the point where the money was starting to leave, and then things had to change, right? So if you look at the 1980s and early 90s, everything was acceptable. You could have prostitutes running around in the middle of Times Square. It was like, who gives a shit, right?
I saw my first boob in Times Square.
You know, and so right now what's happening is there is a counterculture developing around this stuff because it's so in your face now. And I think within the next 5 years, the same way that these bad laws were implemented, I think a lot of these politicians that still support these bad laws, they're all going to get voted out. And when they get voted out, things are going to finally start changing. Companies are going to see that this is a major problem for them. So they're going to create system and possibly doing things more around security, right? Like an example is facial recognition, right? You get recognized, you know who they are, you present that to the cops can go arrest that person, right? License plate readers, figure out who the license plate is for the guy driving the car. You got yourself another avenue to go prosecute. So you're going to have a combination of prosecutors and also retail stores create like basically doing more in terms of technology in order to prevent this.
And you're saying we should invest in that tech? That's what you're saying?
Well, we should be looking for that tech to see who it is, like who's actually profiting. So as an example, when a lot of people saw the George Floyd thing like happen, while we may have been looking at it and felt like, oh my God, this is a tragedy, there were people, and I remember because I was watching on Seeking Alpha, they were like, man, now every single police agency and department from now on is going to have body cameras. Who's the major manufacturer of body cameras in the United States? Axon. Have you ever heard of them before?
I have not. Axon.
Okay, let's take a look at their stock price. 1 second.
I have it right now if you want me to pull it up.
No,
I've been looking for the camera manufacturer because they're going to have massive contracts for those 15-minute cities. You'll see it in Maui first. It's going to be in Maui, and man, those are massive contracts, and the markups are ridiculous. But I can't
look at this.
The name.
Look at this. This is Axon.
What year was that's 2021? 2020?
No, 2020 was June. 2020 was the George Floyd situation.
Yeah. So this was June 2020. What was it? What did you say?
June 2020. Exactly. June 2020.
June 2020. Okay. So like right here around this time right here.
So how much is it up? How much is it up from there?
Double. It's doubled since then. So it went from 7 billion to 14 billion, you know, like this is the kind of stuff. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be competitors that come out and make some stuff too, but this is the kind of stuff that you just have to figure out. Okay, who is making the cameras that are doing the license plate readers, right? Because now every retail mall is probably going to say, you know what, maybe we need to figure out who these people are stealing.
People don't know. Cop cars already have that. Cop cars already have that. They already have license plate readers.
Yeah, no. But he's saying this technology should be integrated into basically the mall parking lot. So as opposed to not being part of it, because it's already there. The technology is there. The thing is, Home Depot is not doing that right now, but
correct.
They totally will if they're not starting it at this point. Obviously.
Same thing with facial recognition.
If you're stealing $300,000 worth of stuff, you know you're going into a truck or a van or multiple cars. You could easily find these idiots at some point. So this is a real simple solution. Besides even getting just police force at the Home Depot, just follow where the money goes. Easy.
Yeah. Same thing with facial recognition, where you can just literally have it.
Well,
find
they're
the
all
people
covered
from
with
the
masks. I think the car thing is
But
the easiest thing.
what's
No, but you
cool
can
is-
actually
Yeah,
get just the triangulation. This ratio of like the center of your eyeball to your nose to that is like unique. It's like as unique as a fingerprint on most people. And look, I don't know if you remember during the Boston Marathon, the year after that they had that bombing. They put out that picture. You can look it up. Maybe you look it up. Amit. It's called like the highest resolution photo ever. It was like 30,000 megapixels. It was a shot of the crowd. Okay, a massive shot. It just looks like a normal crowd shot. But online, you could zoom in like all the way up to an individual face anywhere in the crowd. They even had that during one of the sporting events. I think it was during the last World Series. So in the daytime, you're looking at a shot of 30,000 people. You could zoom in to any one person and like see them absolutely full screen. The camera technology is ridiculous.
And also, even from the police department standpoint, I'm sure that they will be conducting sting operations where literally they might start tagging small items and putting like air tag kind of like technology around.
Put a glitter bomb.
So
they
now-
get the guy to do the
Huh?
glitter bomb.
You remember that guy? That's you. So freaking Mark Wilbur was
glitter
freaking
all
Wilbur,
over
yeah.
the city. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
No, more importantly, what it is finding
He
where
found the
market-
criminals faster than the police.
Yeah, finding where these guys are actually operating out of. Because remember, this is not something that this is a one and done scenario. If they get a taste of how profitable this is, which is, by the way, super profitable. If they take $200, $300 worth of item, put it into a bag, like steal it, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, offer up all these third-party sites now that are untraceable. Now you've got a situation where you can actually make a shit ton of money, which means that this is going to just keep happening. It's going to be a repeat.
Well, that's what I'm
offense.
saying. This is not just the big problem is the organized nature of it, not the mom and pop stealing small things. So either way, you can follow them, like we're saying, with these cameras right outside of the stores. You don't even need to be inside the store. You can just follow wherever they go.
So before we go to the super chats, all three of you are in agreement that this is not a sociological problem in regards to capitalism and wealth inequality. This is stores are stupid. Their policies are bad. People take advantage of it. That's your
listen. No one is stealing from like the poor stores. Okay,
Well,
a lot of
that's
this
not
stuff is
true. That's
Gucci.
not true at all.
This is stuff that's mostly happening at I'm saying the one in California, that retail organizing. It's like Nordstrom, right? It's not happening at like I don't know what it was, like.
But it is. But it's happening at a Walmart. I saw videos of guys just going in, grabbing all the deodorant and all the toothpaste.
But that's not Walmart. Walmart factors that in their.
Well, not even
P&L.
Walmart,
They're
like a
gonna lose some
CVS,
money.
a local CVS. They're going into.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
Apple.
Did you see the
losing
video? Okay,
laptops?
did you see the video of the guy that walked into the gas station, tried to steal the cigarettes, the Korean guy, and then somebody was saying, "Don't stop him, don't stop him," and then somebody did stop him. Then the owner came in and started beating him up with a mop or something.
I think
They are prosecuting. They are prosecuting the store owner.
No, that's wrong. They actually. So you're talking about the two Punjabi dudes that beat that guy's ass?
Well, the Korean one, who beat the
No, they're Korean.
the
Don't
garbage
give. It's not the Koreans, bro. It's the Punjabis. That's Amit's people. Not all right. Let me Let me give you guys a public service announcement. Okay, you can steal from a lot of people. Okay, do not steal from the Punjabs. The Punjabs are fucking crazy, dude. Okay, they are the warrior class of India. All right, which means they were born and bred to beat your ass. That's how they are, and that is their mentality.
I think we should show that video. I remember it. Two guys beat the crap out of
you want to find it?
Right, but what I heard, the last update that I heard is that they actually were trying to prosecute the guy because after they were able to restrain him, the continuous beatings now constitute assault versus holding him down, call the police, have them come.
I'm pretty sure it does constitute assault at some point.
No. The prosecutors actually let that go. Yeah, they actually let him go. They're not prosecuting.
They let him go.
Hold on.
I'm trying to find YouTube.
I found it.
I found YouTube's telling me I can't watch it. I'm too young for YouTube. By the way, while you put that up real quick, my
my
dad.
birthday's in a few weeks.
They're like, put your birthday and promise you're 21.
My dad had a liquor store for a long time. Actually, I'll tell the story after we watch it. Let's watch it.
Yeah. Here we go.
This guy. This guy. I was a sick man.
Zoom in.
And nothing you can do, man, till police come in.
He said there's nothing you can do till the police.
Don't. Hey, and nothing you can do, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
Damn.
Clap.
Bro.
Clap. 7, 8.
Yo.
For an angle. 9. 10.
See that?
It's like he's in China and he spray painted the wall or something.
Oh, dude,
He's
he
in
did.
China,
He's
said
China,
he's
he's a raccoon.
pain.
It's like 7, 8 years old.
Oh, he's hitting his ass too.
His tongue's falling off of him.
Bro, he's still
That's
going.
literally an ass whipping.
That's called. Yeah, so you call police.
Now,
Look, man, that's what you got to
here's the
do
thing.
when you got no authority.
Listen, I agree.
That guy in
deserves it.
UFC would do really, really well.
just letting y'all
So,
know.
so, Chris, how do we get spreads on
Yeah.
this Punjab guy?
I'm just letting y'all know. Let me tell you the history of the Punjabs. Okay, the Punjabs were. I don't want to say Punjab.
First of all, why are you
That's
saying
a-
Punjab? It's Punjab.
Okay.
Why are you saying it
Punjabi?
like
Okay,
a-
fine. I'll say Punjabi.
It's
Whatever,
about
man.
to come
So
in your house and beat you with a broomstick right now. You
they
keep
are.
with the cowbell, bro.
He's beating the fuckers with a cowbell.
So they're primarily from the northern part of India, okay? And the thing is, they're the guys that usually defend against like the borders of all the border attacks. Anytime like when new invaders come, they were the ones that like took it on, like if I had to give them a little bit of credit, these motherfuckers were the Spartans before the Spartans, okay? There was I don't know if you guys know who Guru Gobind Singh like is, but he's like their like prophet, like super high level prophet. And his thing is, bro, we don't care if there's 100 of us and there's 100,000 of them. We're gonna kick their fucking ass and we're gonna go. So these guys are probably the most courageous people on the planet. The Indian Army right now is about, I think, majority, like a lot of the Indian Army is Punjabis, and the reason for it is because they come from a warrior class of people. So this guy with the stick of justice, his grandfather was doing the same exact shit to the invaders like about 100 years ago, and he's got fucking trained like that.
And we know how that ended.
So I'm just letting y'all know that if you see a dude with a turban at a liquor store, gas station, whatever, don't fuck with him. Because the thing is, there's like a voice in their heads that says, hey man, just let it go. Like Gujaratis, we all have it. We're pragmatic as fuck. Like, so a lot of times, like if you go to Gujarati people, we make up less than 1% of the Indian Army. Why? Because we're like, yeah, we're more, so we're a lot more like reserved with the way we think.
You're like, how do I solve this peacefully?
That voice in the back of the Punjab's head that says, hey, maybe you shouldn't fucking do that. You might get killed. Over centuries, that voice has been drowned out with go kill those motherfuckers. And so I'm telling you, there's a lot of people I'm willing to fight. Punjab says, hey, Chris, we're going to fight. I'll be like, nah, bro, you already won this. All right. Your grandfathers won that war 100 years ago. All right. So just letting y'all know, if you're going to rob people. Yeah.
Chris is dead on with this because my family used to own a liquor store. My dad and my grandpa worked there. Okay. My grandpa passed away in December, but this is one of these stories I remember like it was yesterday. I used to run the register when I came home from school because my dad was renovating a house nearby. So he would go away. He would leave me and my grandpa there to run the whole thing. Okay. One day I was there with my dad. My grandpa wasn't there. A kid stole a couple of chips. I ran after the kid and my dad said, bro, leave it. Like it's a couple of chips. It doesn't matter. I'm like, all right, whatever. One day my dad goes to the house, renovate it. Me and my grandpa are there. My grandpa doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak any English. Someone comes up and they pull up a gun and they're like, yo, give me your shit. And in my head, I'm like, yo, grandpa, give him the fucking money. And my grandpa's like, fuck that. He starts arguing with the guy. I'm like, there's a gun right there. Give him the money. I had to like beg him to give him the $600 we had in the register. My grandpa was ready to take a bullet for that fucking 600, bro. He did not care.
That's fucking crazy.
So, it's crazy, bro. But yeah. To your point, Chris, yeah, the Punjabs are not the Punjabis are not going to let that shit go.
So what's funny is Indians, like Gujaratis, like me, we've always been, like I said, we're more no. We've been the business class, like a lot of Patels, like that you'll see at like the motels, the stores and stuff.
Patels,
a lot of them.
Patels on the motels.
We have business in our blood. So, and the thing is, we also have a lot of politics and Indians, like Patels and a lot of like Gujaratis, they're very pragmatic. That's the thing about them. So if you look at most of the GDP in India, like that's around, a lot of the industrialists, they all have a Gujarati background. Right. So a lot of people don't really know that about it. Like Mahatma Gandhi, he was a Gujarati, right? Ali Jinnah, who was the founder of Pakistan, he was Gujarati. Sardar Patel, he was like the first home minister, which is like our kind of like almost like a secretary of state / no, like I don't know how to.
You guys are the Jews of India. We got it.
Yeah, we are the Jews of India, basically. Yeah, we're definitely.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why, like, look at Zoko. Like, never met a broke Patel because that's how Patels are. We're fucking pragmatic as shit, man. Charlie Munger actually brought up this whole Patel thing. And let me bring up the clip. It's actually kind of funny.
Okay, let me do super chats while you're doing that, and then after that, we have to talk about the ARM IPO. So, David, thank you for the super chat. Hey, funny finance buddies, do you have any thoughts on Asterisk and STEM, and which one of you has what it takes to successfully host Saturday Night Live? We'll look into those tickers. I don't think any of us have any thoughts on those tickers specifically.
Well, STEM we know competes sort of with
well,
just a little bit. I don't know much about it, but STEM is another play in terms of like energy arbitration and the whole the battery movement, where they can buy and sell energy. So that's what they're doing. I don't know how far they're coming along, but Tesla obviously competes with them, and I already have Tesla, so I'm not buying STEM. That was my whole thing, so I'm not even researching it further. In terms of Saturday Night Live, it's obviously me. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
That's a ridiculous question,
totally
guys. Come
me.
on. No, you gotta be funny, Carlos.
Yeah,
FYI.
please. You gotta not get angry and yell at the guests too.
That sort of works
with
too.
Or work with your co-host. Maybe not insulting your co-hosts. Like I think I'd get another show. and
that's
and
okay.
The talent competition part would be awesome. When we play along with the guests, that'd be awesome.
Well, we both have some good talent, so we'll see what.
So maybe we have to
happens there.
co-host the show. Unfortunately, we still can't get.
I play the guitar, and Carlos plays the drums. Maybe we rock it with the talent.
That'd be good.
TJ, a little token of appreciation for the unofficial Enphase research team. Picked up another 600. Hold on, 600 times 129. How much did he fucking buy?
I think. Well, the 600 shares, did he actually buy it, or he just sold?
He bought
those?
it.
That's what he
did.
did.
He was texting me.
70 grand he dropped on these shares today. Wow.
A lot of it was, he's buying it in like IRAs and stuff. I think that's what he's doing.
Oh, so he actually bought the shares, actual
Yeah,
share.
bought the shares.
He's bag holding. Welcome to the club, TJ.
Yeah.
We got to make
Hope
a
it's
bag
not
holders.
under
We got to
100.
make an official bag holder shirt.
That'd be great. Enphase bag holders. That'd be great.
You know what I mean? It'd be a
And in
Gucci bag,
2
and
years,
then we
it's
get
like
robbed.
what is it called? Moon holders.
Okay, last one. If you finance junkies had to pick just 3 stocks done for 10 years, what would they be? His would be Palantir, SoFi, IO, and Q. And we all agree that Two Princes is hands down the Spins Doctor best song. I don't know what Spins
I don't
Doctor.
listen to
Well,
Spin
Two
Doctor.
Princesses is a great song. The Spins. It's another band. Jesus God, you got to learn some bands.
I
Spin
feel like the
Doctor.
Roses and Guns type of people.
Yeah, Spin Doctors. I wish you. No. How
It's
does it go?
Guns and Roses, not Roses and Guns.
No, he meant to say
Roses
the
and
flowers and pistols.
How does that go? The
Guys.
Spin Doctors song. Oh man, I'm losing that.
Okay, quickly,
Two
3 stocks for each of us. Then we'll move on. Vitaly, go.
Two princes that adore you. Remember that?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay, pick 3 stocks. Go ahead.
Pick 3
Google,
stocks.
Microsoft, Amazon. Easy.
Okay, we got Chris.
Hold on. 10 years. I thought that we did this a bunch of times already.
We
All
did, so, but just go ahead.
right. Tesla, Enphase, and Unity.
Okay, Carlos. Unity. That's an interesting one.
I'd probably go. I'm having trouble with the third. The first 2 would be Tesla and Apple actually.
Okay.
The second one, I mean, if I just have to, I'd probably say Amazon.
Amazon's good.
I would Google
That's
Amazon
like safe,
Palantir.
right? Safe, guaranteed return. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
It's
to
gonna
just
be
'cause
like
someone
SoFi, Truist,
DNA.
SMCI.
Just 'cause
I
someone
made
brought it
hood
up.
calls, DNA calls.
Right. I remember.
Just because someone brought it up, South Indians, like down south, they're actually like the smartest people in India in terms of like intelligence. Like, so a lot of the space program and all the IT and everything else that happens in South India. So they're probably like some of the smartest people on the planet, dude. Like a lot, like Sundar Pichai, I think is South Indian. So depending on what part of India you go to, you're going to see this because of like the way that the caste system is pretty much like bred people into a certain category of thinking and logic and also the DNA. You can see that actually happen, that generations of it has pretty much blossomed into unique strengths among them. So it's almost like horses, right? Where you got a draw horse, or a draft horse, and then you got a Mustang, and then you got one that's like specifically built for racing. If you breed them enough times over a long period of time, you're going to get certain attributes that are just expanded out there. So just as a a talking point. But a lot of those barriers are self-imposed over the last 100, 200 years. They're all breaking down right now. Like my wife is from a Brahmin class and I'm from a lower class. So her family is like super, super like, how do I say, like on the upper class of things. But this was if this was like 50 years ago, there's no way that me and her could have gotten married. But seeing us together, this is how progress works, where
Did
classes are
your family have any
intermingling and things
dispute
going.
about the class divide, or it didn't matter?
I don't think so. I mean, they would have. I'm pretty sure that each side would have preferred that we stick to our side, but it was more based on like how comfortable they would feel with the other side, because when you're, dude, if it's a white person and another white person, you feel comfortable with the other white people, all right? If it's a black person or a black family, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means it's harder for the two families to really integrate because they have a completely different upbringing, right?
Yeah.
And a different societal thing. So it's just something that over time, these barriers are going to break down, but everyone is always going to be in a position where they feel comfortable naturally with their specific group of people. So, like, and that happens every society. Like, I know Jewish people, they would, like, Jewish mothers would prefer a Jewish daughter-in-law. They're like, that's like something that just mashugana. I think that's what the thing is. Like,
the reason
No,
why
shiksa.
the reason why for that,
if you marry a
reason
woman
why
that's
for that
not
is because-
Jewish, it's a shiksa.
gotcha.
That's what I did.
the reason for
Me
that
and
is because-
Vitaly are fucking just breaking these barriers down, baby.
Vitaly said fuck everything. Vitaly went full interracial, so you didn't give a fuck. So
Mhm.
it is breaking down. It is fully breaking down.
Right.
the reason why the parents prefer that is because, say, if you're Jewish and you bring someone home who's Jewish, the parents can make a certain inference about that child's upbringing.
100%.
They know from their own culture. They might not know all of the details, but they'll know more about their details or feel like they're more comfortable with, well, I know certain things about this person. I know certain cultures, or I know certain things that if their parents are of my generation, that they try to instill in those children. And so, I mean, and people would say that that's racist or whatever, but I think that that's kind of normal that you want someone who
That's just how it
somewhat
works.
follows similar ideals.
I told my wife, I've ruined the bloodline. It's done.
Okay, we got to move on to the next topic. I got to speak to a billionaire that none of you guys got to speak to about the arm.
And look,
You guys have read this.
Dude, I'm
billionaire.
not touching this shit with a 10-foot pole, man. That's a fucking horrible numbers, and they're really
70
trying. Bro, they
70
are.
billion?
What
They are
happened?
Oh,
trying
no,
to
let me
fleece
bring it up. Let me bring it up. Then you guys go first. So he
64
says
billion? Are you kidding me?
SoftBank Group recently bought 25% of ARM. For those that don't know, they own the majority of it from Vision Fund at a $64 billion valuation, 2x what Vision Fund got them for before. They're paying Vision Fund LPs with SoftBank shareholder money. They did 2.7 billion in revenue, 500 million of net income, and they didn't grow. Last year, they grew negative 1%. Let's say it goes 0% growth to 50% growth, margins to 30%, 1.2 billion of net income at a 30x PE, which is really reasonable. $36 billion valuation. No way it could be 64, which is what JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs wanted to IPO at. Nvidia's trading at 32x PE, growing 100%, obviously looking a lot better. Chris, I know you were excited about ARM a long time ago, but that excitement was mainly because of you were like, oh my God, it's everywhere. Now that you're seeing the numbers that the banks are putting out, are you still excited about this company?
Fuck no, dude. Not touching this with a 10-foot pole, man. These guys are, dude, they're literally trying to use this IPO as exit liquidity. Dude, Mayoshi-san fucked up, paid way too much. Maybe they changed their business model, but their current business model is completely jacked up right now. If they can't make money during literally the biggest
the biggest AI boom ever.
and you're down, bro. Dude, I don't know what it is about your business model right now that you can't make money, whether the licensing fees are too fucking generous to the people using it. It's not good. And then there's actual risk from Risk V. Like, I have to look more research into it. Believe it or not, Meet Kevin did a really good breakdown of the ARM IPO. So if you guys want to check it out,
When is that hitting? What is the day it's hitting?
Who gives a
September,
shit, man?
right?
The price is way too
Well, what
unreasonable.
day is it hitting?
I think September, late September.
Right. Well, no, we've discussed this before. Never buy IPOs when IPOs hit. You just always got to wait the year or 2 years till they get a bunch of quarters under their belts, and then you know what it's worth. Because the people who rush in, you better rush out, right? You better rush out real fast because it's going to tank. Like every single IPO I've ever seen, or been a part of.
Chris, do you think the 2x valuation, you don't think there's any way you could justify it at all? You think it's pure liquidity? Because yes, ARM's literally everywhere, right? So you don't think there's any premium that should be given for that, or you think it's purely just for the IPO?
Okay, I'll give you guys a good example of something that I used to believe in, but then it ended up being a complete flop. Like BlackBerry, right? BlackBerry QNX. Anyone heard of that before? QNX?
Yep, of course. Yeah, QNX is a really great real-time operating system.
Right? Really great. Almost every car on the planet, like 70% of most of their cars have QNX in them. Do you know how much BlackBerry makes off of QNX? Barely anything. Barely anything. Mission critical piece of software, but just not something that makes money. So even if the product is everywhere, if the business model is not built to capture that potential, then it's not a good business. That's it. Simple as that. So I don't think even though I was bullish on ARM because I thought, you know what, maybe from a number standpoint that they're actually getting really good royalty fees and everything else. This just proves the complete opposite. So yeah,
it's kind of a shame, but it's one of those things where when everyone sees it coming, you got to be early. You got to be early, and you have to be a little bit somewhat scared that it might not work out because that fear is what keeps people away from it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame.
I mean, at this point, ARM we're nowhere near early. This has been established for such a long time and not public,
but
which
sucks
sucks.
when they hold that IPO for so long, because we could have enjoyed. It's like you don't want to buy it. $64 billion. I mean, come on. You need like a $2 billion.
Yeah, these companies are waiting longer. This could lead maybe to another conversation another day, but why all these companies like Uber and Lyft and all of them are waiting till they're way more established, and then there's no juice to squeeze in that lemon because it's done, and it's just so obnoxious, honestly. And it's kind of good to look back at companies like Amazon and Tesla who took a chance, went into public markets worth nothing, and grew their market share, and phase 2 grew their market share.
Well, maybe it's because once they go public, then they have to report. Maybe the finances look horrible, right? And they don't want to have to report that stuff on a quarterly basis, and potentially turn people off from the investment and the service.
What's kind of sad?
But also, money was cheaper and free, so they were just taking it.
Yeah, that's true.
What's kind of sad about this whole thing is that there will still be people who don't watch the Finance Junkies that will probably look at this.
I was going to ask, who do you think's buying ARM? Who do you think is going to buy it?
A lot of people.
A lot of people. Yeah.
You think a lot of retail will buy it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you have one day. Honestly, you have one day to take your profits. You got to buy in the morning, and I mean that's gambling. That's a horse race. It's like one of those triple leveraged ETFs. You've got like a day to get your money in and out. I mean, anytime I bought one of those anticipated IPOs on the day or close to it, I mean, it's horrendous.
The problem is people are going to do what people do, which is they're going to try to find
the next buy calls on ARM
immediately. Yeah, buy calls.
Buying spreads on ARM.
No, people are going to try to find the next success based on the previous. So everyone's like, "Oh, ARM is the next NVIDIA." Like, "Oh, I'm able to afford ARM versus affording NVIDIA." Like, I missed the train on NVIDIA, so let me get into the train on ARM. So that's the logic that so many people go with, and it happened with Alibaba. Alibaba is the next Amazon of China. Like these are the kinds of stupid arguments that people hear, but then if you look at the deep down the numbers, it may not necessarily make that much sense. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Last topic for the day. What do you guys think happens tomorrow with this bad boy? We have price targets of 800 by a couple banks now. Do you think it's going to pump to give ARM the liquidity it needs, or do you think they crashed to 305 where they were at on May 5th? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, don't go all at first at the same time.
Vitaly, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
I was processing it because, look, it's such a coin toss that what'll happen, because if they say anything negative, then it goes down. But if they say nothing negative and they say we're still on track to meet or beat our number, I mean, it's all based on the future. So if they say anything negative about the future, GPUs are down or sales are down or AI is down, it goes down, of course, because it's pumped price for perfection. So I don't know, but I don't know what'll happen tomorrow. But I still think this is a great investment long term.
I agree. Long term, if depending on your time horizon, this could be a great investment. But just remember, your entry price is way more important than people think. So if you got in at the highs, like 3 years ago, it took you a good solid 2.5, 3 years to get back to where you were, right? So that's one of the mistakes that people make when investing. It's like when you see something go from, if you bought at 100 and then it goes down to 50, you need a even though it only went down 50%, you need 100% recovery to get back to where they are. So the problem with NVIDIA is that they're a cyclical business, in my opinion. So right now, yes, the need for chips and all this other stuff is there, but just like anything that's cyclical, there are going to be times where a lot of people are going to ramp up, a lot of demand is going to come, and then eventually that demand is going to top off, level off, and then even go down a little bit. So I think right now, because we have the AI, we're early in the AI craze, NVIDIA being the chief provider of GPUs to fuel that AI movement is going to be able to, create a lot of pricing for itself. People are going to pay for it. But that's not to say that the other guys are not recognizing the profit that NVIDIA is making off of them. So they're creating their own chips in the background, designing their own chips. So I think NVIDIA, being that it's in a cyclical business, which semiconductors are a cyclical business, right now you would be buying at the top of the market in a cyclical business, which is not a good idea. You want to wait and pace yourself. I think eventually we do get a much bigger correction. And if you really do believe long term that these guys are well managed and they can actually keep growing, by all means, buy it. But at a much lower price.
I also think, I mean, just looking at the chart, what's interesting about this one is I believe my tendency is to be a bit bearish and to feel like there's no way that they're going to have been able to hit that guidance. And to Vitaly's point, if they miss any one thing, I think that it's finally going to lose some air. There'll be a correction. But if you're one of the guys that believes in filling gaps, I mean, there's a real big gap here between, what is that? 305 and 372 that need to be filled. But at the same time, look at this though. At the same time, from when it started its run up, it's up 218%. But if you look at the moving averages, this is not a stock that is like overvalued in the sense like it's blown way past its moving average. Like it's sitting so much higher than it's like even 21 day. It's been somewhat steady where this seems like natural accumulation, like organic accumulation. So this is a really tough one to call, like what's going to happen tomorrow, to be honest.
Well, I just want to point out in terms of moving, I think it's 40% above the 200 days. So it's not nothing. If we do like the Bollinger Bands, we'll probably see like it's at the top of the Bollinger Band. I bet you anything. But here's another thing. Besides that gap that you pointed out, there's another one a little bit lower too. Besides the 300s, I think there's one at 209.
Oh, here.
So
yeah, right
209 to 229. So it'd be interesting to see if these gaps get filled, like everybody believes eventually.
But Vitaly, real quick, can you explain the technical reason why a gap needs to be filled?
It doesn't need to be filled. It's just that this is what Wall Street believes that, and technically 80% or so do get filled. So that's why they discuss it all the time. The gaps. It doesn't need to get filled.
Right. It doesn't need to get filled, but you understand too that especially when you trade with algorithms, there are buys and sells that are set at these prices. And if those orders are still open, there's a pressure there for the stock to hit those. Right.
Right.
And so, for example, if anything does happen with earnings, and you could argue this thing will drop into that zone, it could drop into that zone where it has a lot of interest for people to buy and sell or trade at those levels.
Okay.
Yeah. Imagine if the short sellers, they're all looking at these gaps too, and they're looking, okay, so we think that the 310 is going to get filled, and they're pushing the stock down to that before they exit their position.
Right. So see, a lot of people think that NVIDIA is an ideal short because of the valuation being so stretched. But this is one of those companies that you don't short. And the reason for that is because the adage that's for shorting is that markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? So number one, you're going to be paying a real premium to borrow those shares just to short it. And the other problem is it could stay longer than you think. So a lot of short can get burned. The only time where shorting, in my opinion, makes a lot of sense is when you have like fraud, but it's not proven fraud. Like you've done the due diligence, you've done the research, you think, hey, this company's complete bullshit. The numbers that they're coming out with complete garbage.
Nikola stock is perfect.
Yeah, Nikola was good like that. Luckin Coffee out of China was another good example of that. So the minute that the thesis comes to play out, the entire thing drops on itself, right? So those are the ones you want to, like those are the ones that are worth shorting. The other ones, I don't think so. Like, it's just, yeah.
All right.
Okay. We got about 7 minutes left. We're doing some really quick rapid fire questions. Jake says, I got a 15K bonus check. Where would you toss all 15K? Bitcoin, sit in cash, growth stock, real estate. Let's get 3 different answers from you guys. Chris, what would you do with 15K?
Google, baby. Google.
Okay. Google. Vitaly?
I would not toss any 15K straight into anything. I would DCA into a couple of things, but in fact, Enphase is one of them. That's obvious. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are now tanking. So I would be watching Bitcoin under 20 and Ethereum at 750 and under. I would be looking at that seriously.
Okay. Carlos?
Myself included. I would hold off. I wouldn't do anything right now. I'd wait to see the real capitulation that I think is coming in September, especially in the crypto market. And I'd probably just do half and half, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think you've got a 10x. If it hits 15K, I think you got a 10x in Bitcoin.
I would spread it around. So a couple of equities.
Half and half.
Yeah, because look, if Ethereum goes to 10,000 and he bought it at 750 or 500, he doesn't need to drop all 15K into it.
No, you do half and half. I think you do half and half because typically what happens is that
And this is not financial advice.
but this is how I'm positioning myself. They run up in waves. Like all the money's going to go to one. They're not both going to pump at the same time. You know, that's how I see it. Like either Ethereum will front run Bitcoin, and if Ethereum does front run Bitcoin, if you see a 5-digit Ethereum before, and Bitcoin's still sitting at whatever it's sitting at, I think a month from there is when you're going to see the pump in Bitcoin. So anyway, that would be me. I think crypto is the best investment to put that in right now.
I think
Here's a better answer. 25% Google or Amazon, 25% some spec stock you're interested in, and 50% Ethereum and Bitcoin. There you go.
I think right now there are some pockets of opportunity that are starting to present themselves. Primarily, if you're willing to hold your nose and actually do the DD, regional banks right now are once again at prices that are much better. So someone asked in the super chats, can you put that up, Amit, real quick? Are you still bullish?
I didn't see this one. Go ahead.
Are you bullish on TFC? Yeah, I'm still bullish on TFC. I think the book values will eventually return to what they're supposed to be. So this company will get back to its, normal trading level. The only thing is the market conditions right now are primarily, killing the banking sector's profitability, because the way that the banking system works is that you borrow short, you lend long, and that's what they've done for the last 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, not forever. The Fed raising the interest rates really fast kind of just threw that entire thing into a tailspin. So a lot of regional banks that got sold off, and now the credit rating agencies over the last month have all been coming out and saying, oh, these banks, they're not as good with credit and everything else. But the problem is a lot of these rating agencies are looking at backwards data to make their calculations, whereas these banks have already started the process of actually correcting a lot of that. One, they're not issuing a lot newer loans. They've shored up their CET1 levels, which is safety money that's sitting on the side. And so right now there's an opportunity to actually make some money on regional banks again, where you can actually buy some spreads at a really, really cheap price.
They're back to May prices, basically.
Yeah, less. The spreads are actually
how much are you
less.
down now?
I am down, I believe, 10% on the
There you
spreads
go.
right now. So it's
Now,
pretty much at the level I was in.
Now, just caveat that though. What's the difference between what I did and you did, Amit? And that the reason why I say that is
Your
because
bag held, buddy.
no. The thing is, even though I think Truist will eventually get back to its trading range, when you saw Truist go up to like $36, $37, and that's when I was selling. Remember, I said, look, even though I think long term this is going to be fine, there are still short term headwinds that are in the market. This is, I guess you could say that Chris is a trader. Go ahead. This is the one time I'm definitely guilty
It's
of being
not the one time, buddy. This is not the one
whatever.
time.
But I would
It's
say
fine
that,
though.
yeah, I would say that when things go up, and the thing is, the thesis, especially from the macro perspective, don't support that rise, eventually you'll see these small corrections happen. And so now Truist is back to trading at close to May levels when there was a lot of crisis in the market. So if you think like, hey, wait a second, the last time that they were at these lows was when the world was falling apart and the banks were in crisis mode. The banks are not in crisis mode right now. The federal government has already stepped in with a ton of supporting programs that are keeping the banks from going insolvent. There's a Fed put out there. Maybe one day I'll explain exactly how that's being done. And then on top of it, look at all the deflation that's happening. Like I put it on my Patreon, like of all the statistics, there's massive amounts of disinflation. I mean, I'm not saying deflation. China's deflating, but actually, no, you know what? I'll take that back. There's actually deflation happening in certain parts of the world right now too. But a lot of that disinflation pressure is going to make its way into the US markets within the next 6 to probably 9 months. And which means that if that starts hitting us as hard as it's hit the Chinese and the Europeans, you're going to see rate cuts, and so you're going to see a lot more dovishness by the Fed, which means if you see a rate cut, the banks, which have had their fair market values adjusted lower because of all the loans that they had issued previously, their book values will their fair market values will eventually recover back to what they're supposed to be. So I know it sounds super complicated, but if you do the math, it's actually not. I'll see if I can cover it with Matt on Cash Flow Chronicles after this.
Let me just say one
know.
thing. I do have to go, but Amit, this is one thing you learn after you do this enough in terms of like options. The whole point of options is as soon as it pumps a certain percentage, whatever that is in your opinion, I wait till like 50%, and then I'm usually scaling out of it. So after it goes up a certain amount, I would say you should have just been scaling out or taking out your money. And we were talking about this before. And then you can let the rest ride. That's fine. But the mistake you made is you think options are the same as equity, as owning stock. It's not. And it's one thing if you would have bought TFC and you hold in your portfolio and you leave it there, you collect the dividend and you wait the 2-3 years for the return to $45 or whatever. That's different. You're a long-term investor. When you buy options, I don't consider you the same as spreads or whatever you bought. It's not the same. So when it hits a certain percentage, whatever that is for you, but for me, it's around 50% plus, I start scaling out.
And
the last thing to
ahead.
consider, the last thing to consider as well is, and you tell me if I'm wrong. You bought these 2-year contracts out and you say, man, but it ran up so much, 80, 90% or whatever it is, right? My contracts ran up, but I'm only 2 months into the contract.
That's actually exactly the reason I didn't, because I'm not actively managing like Chris is. I'm kind of like, honestly, I wanted a good trade, and so I could go worry about other stuff, and I could make some money in a year and a half. So that's kind of why.
What happens?
But you did make the money.
But
you didn't have
what
to
happens
wait
is,
a year and a half.
yeah, what happens is if you made the 80%, 90%, or 100%, then I mean, what do you want? You doubled your money. There's this idea that as long as I still have all these years on the contract. What happens is as you move through the option, your contract gets less and less valuable. So you need an even bigger move in the stock price in order to achieve the same percentage gain that you would, because you made such a big bet. So
correct me on this. When does stated decay actually hit? Because from my research, it's 90 days of the expiration is when real stated decay starts. But
it happens every day.
I mean, I know that.
You lose a certain amount every day.
I understand that, but in the context of like real volatility, that like your shit's about to expire, I've heard it's just 180 to 90 days.
Just look right now. Look, you can see that right now. Like if you go on the options chain right now and you look at say TFC spreads a month out, well, those contracts could have been bought 2 years ago, right? And now this is what they're worth today. So the contracts that you're seeing there someone could be holding those from 2 years ago, and this is just what they happen to be worth today. Because the time aspect of the option is what really creates that premium, and the strike price too. But
so the conclusion is a leap spread or a leap call, whatever. You guys. When would you ever hold it till expiration or to close to expiration, or you would get rid of it?
If I want the underlying and I'm getting a great price, that's the only time. So for example, if Enphase falls to $50 and all of a sudden I bought strikes at $50 because I'm a big believer, then I can wait the 2 years and find out what happens to Enphase, and Enphase is 200 or 500. Then I've made a shit ton of money because I can keep the shares and I want those shares. But in most cases, you don't want to keep the actual contract. In most cases, you do want to sell it 95% of the time. So you were doing a trade, first of all. You knew that. You weren't trying to get the shares.
In my head, it was a long-term trade, which I'm starting to realize.
As soon as you start winning money in a long-term trade in a short amount of time, you just take the money.
You gotta understand a long-term trade. What you're doing when you buy that option is you're giving yourself a certain amount of time to make a return, certain return.
But you wanted a 5x, buddy.
Right. If you get that double, then
it wasn't a double. I was up 20% on it.
But even so, the point is, if you here's why, because you could always buy more options contracts, but now you have more money to buy more options contracts.
Right.
So if it does tank, and if you know that these things are cyclical, if you know that every year there'll be a rotation from growth to value, back from value to growth, and there'll be all this other movement and noise in between, you can ride those things back and forth and just sort of keep amplifying your money. So either you take the profit or it allows you to buy more contracts to amplify that on the way up.
And one thing, just in the comment section, someone wrote Selva Guinness, and can you put that comment up real quick? 1 second.
Yeah, and then I got a jet.
It's for whatever Chris Patel should have guided them. You know, if you think that I'm an asshole, and I wouldn't tell one of my at this point one of my best friends that, hey, right now is the time to actually trim positions, you clearly don't know who I am. Because the first thing I did was, before even I started trimming, I messaged Amit and said, hey man, I think this is the time we should start taking some profit. Okay,
that's true. I can confirm.
You know, it's not something that sent. And I
the receipts.
It's
I mean, he sent the whole group. The whole group.
Remember, when I sold Enovix, I sold 2/3. I basically told you, hey, I'm taking some profits in Enovix, and then you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do this.
Yeah.
These things run up and they run down. Like that's the whole point. It's you don't need every stock in the stock market. And some guy said, I'm a trader. No, if you're trading, if you're actually doing spreads, you're trading. That is the whole point of it. You just want to make the spread. Okay. So
the goal of
making money,
just in the words of Carlos, the goal of a leap or a quote unquote long-term trade is to give you the time to make the money, not to actually hold it for that.
It's not to hold it. It's just you're trying to lock in a certain
unless you
price,
bought
and you're saying-
Palantir. Maybe you bought it for $5 a strike. That's different.
Right, because then you want to actually hold the stock for long term. Yeah, I see.
If you want to make, if you're buying them to accumulate the shares, but what you're doing is you're just trying to give yourself a certain amount of time to make an outsized return on a quick stock movement. If you think that it's going to go up, you want to amplify that return so you can basically sell the contract. I mean, that's what I did. I bought 1 month call options on Apple.
Yeah.
Right before the Vision Pro, saying, okay, it's got to hit 180, 183, whatever it was. I bought them a few dollars above the strike, but as soon as it hit 68, 70%, I'm out.
And this is,
and it ran up to 190, dude. It ran up to 190 by the end of that month, but I still made, I'm fine. I'm going to live with a 60% return.
And this is why you have to make sure you tune into the Finance Junkies, because just because we say that something is going to happen and it does eventually fucking happen, we also will take profit and get the hell out. So keep tuning in. Don't miss an episode where we say we got up.
Subscribe.
And hit like and subscribe.
And one more comment from V. This is also very true. I don't think any four of us, we've done it as a joke, but like we have never blamed each other for buys or sells. I mean, we're all big boys here. So you got to take the hits as they come and keep it going.
You guys no idea how much money Chris has cost me at this point.
All right, guys, I got a jet. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Good stuff. We'll see you back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.